Pompeii was an ancient Roman city near Naples in Italy. It was mostly destroyed and buried under 4 to 6 meters of volcanic ash and pumice in the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Today it's some distance inland, but in ancient times was nearer to the coast. Pompeii is about 10 kilometers away from Mount Vesuvius and covered a total of about 66 hectares. About 2/3 of the city has been uncovered. The city walls have 7 entrance gates. Entrance through the Marina Gate brings you quickly to the Forum, which was at the centre of the city's daily life and which contained the main places of citizen worship. The Forum was the focal point of all the main public buildings for city administration and justice, for business management and for trade activities such as markets. The Forum Granary is now used to store a collection of more than 9,000 artefacts found in Pompeii, including casts of victims, marble tables, statues, terracotta crockery, pots and pans for cooking, and more. The large containers on display, called amphorae, were used to transport oil, wine and fish sauce throughout the Mediterranean. Nearby is a replica of the Mensa Ponderaria, or public weights and measures table, which was used to check the accuracy of the measures used by merchants selling their products in the Forum. Pompeii's population was probably 12 to 15,000. The people enjoyed the amenities of a city, from baths and theatres to temples and markets, and lived in a variety of homes, from luxurious houses to live-in workshops. In most areas, only the ground floors of buildings remain, but in some places the surviving structures are higher. The streets had raised blocks in the middle, which allowed pedestrians to cross without stepping onto the road itself, which doubled up as Pompeii's drainage and sewage disposal system. Spaces between the blocks allowed vehicles to pass, and parallel ruts cut into the surface kept wagons on track. Pompeii was large enough to support 150 bars and taverns, which were mainly used by the poor or those who could not afford a private kitchen. A typical Thermopolian bar would consist of a small room with a distinctive masonry counter in the front. Embedded in this counter were earthenware jars called dolia, which were used to store dried food like nuts. Fancier Thermopolia would also be decorated with frescoes. Pistrina or bakeries are also found in the city, and these milled their own flour using lava millstones. Entertainment was an important part of Roman life. Pompeii's large theatre was built around the middle of the 2nd century BC and exploited the natural slope of the hill for the construction of the auditorium. Comedies and tragedies of the Greek-Roman tradition were performed here, and this was the first large public building completely freed from the deposits of the eruption. Behind the large theatre is a quadriporticus. This large quadrangle was used as a foyer, an area where the spectators could stop during the intervals of the theatre shows. After an earthquake in 62 AD, the building changed its function and became a barracks for gladiators. Next to the large theatre is the Odeon or small theatre, which dates to 79 BC. This building was used for mime, music and singing. At the other end of the town is the amphitheatre of Pompeii. This is the oldest surviving Roman amphitheatre, built after 70 BC. Gladiatorial games were extremely popular, and the amphitheatre could seat around 20,000 people. It served not only Pompeii, but also the inhabitants of surrounding towns. In AD 59, there was a riot in the amphitheatre in which spectators from Pompeii and a nearby town fought each other, with the result that the Emperor Nero banned games at Pompeii for a period of 10 years. Pompeii had several thermae or bathhouses, which were centres not only for bathing but socialising. The well-preserved baths at Pompeii include the Stabian and Forum baths. The Stabian Baths complex includes a large courtyard or palaestra, which was an area for games and outdoor recreation. Inside the baths there were separate areas for men and women. Baths were built around a series of rooms, including a changing area or apoditerium. The warm room or tepidarium tended to be the most highly ornamented room in a bath complex, and was a room to sit in and be anointed in. The hot bath or caldarium contained a round labrum which held cold water for pouring on the bather's head before he left the room. The final step in the Roman bathing process was the cold bath or frigidarium. There are lots of houses to see in Pompeii. This one, the Fullery of Stephanus, is a house that was converted into a laundry. A large bath was placed at the centre of the atrium, and other baths were placed in the garden at the back of the house. For badly stained items, the cleaning process required slaves to tread on fabrics soaked in human and animal urine. The atrium of the laundry is decorated with red panels containing pictures. The house of Menander, which features a large peristyle or courtyard, was home to relatives of the Empress Poppaea Sabina, Nero's second wife. The house owes its name to an Athenian playwright who can be seen in a painting in one of the niches. The western side of the peristyle has a private bath suite, and a lararium or shrine can be seen in a niche on the southern side. The house has an upper floor, and the atrium has another lararium, with a flight of masonry stairs on its right. The house of the orchard is a small but elegant home. It has a square atrium with a central impluvium or water tank in its floor. The decorations include garden scenes, with rich bird life, flowering shrubs, and statues and fountains beyond a pergola decorated with scenic plaques displaying Egyptian motifs. The relatively small house of Pacuius Proculus has an atrium covered with mosaic panels featuring animals. More mosaic paving can be seen in other rooms. One panel shows a comic scene of pygmies fishing on the Nile. The house also contains painted wall panels showing stylized flowers. And outside is a fine garden with a marble fountain. The house of Marcus Lucretius has a raised garden which acts as a backdrop to the whole house and features a stepped marble fountain feeding a circular pool beneath. And the central room, or tablinum, has a fine mosaic floor. This area, known as the Garden of the Fugitives, was a vineyard at the time of the eruption. Victims of the eruption were found at various points inside the enclosure. These fugitives were killed by the arrival of a pyroclastic surge, a fast-moving, ground-hugging wave of hot toxic gas and ash, which was fatal due to asphyxiation and temperatures reaching 300 degrees Celsius. The casts of these victims can now be seen near the back wall of the garden in a glass case.